Hey guys, Tech Rate Reviews. So today I'm going to be reviewing the Leap Motion Controller. It's kind of a strange device to review because there's not really anything else like it. It's really the only kind of device. So I'm just going to show you what it can do, whether it's really practical, if it's worth buying, and stuff like that. So let's get started. This is the Leap Motion Controller. It is available for $79.99. To track your hands, it uses a series of infrared lights and cameras. On the bottom, there's a rubberized pad to keep it from slipping around. On the front, there's a reflective black panel, which underneath are the components that track your hands. On all four sides of the Leap Motion Controller, there is a very sleek-looking metal rim. Despite its small size, the Leap Motion Controller is very powerful. Okay, so before I get started showing you what the Leap Motion does, just want to show you that it comes with two cables. This is a 5-foot cable, and right now I am using a 2-foot cable, which is normally better. Comes in a very, very clean box, just has a nice picture with its logo all around it. It's very nice, makes you feel like you're getting a very premium device. And that carries over to the device. It has a very sleek metal finish, kind of reminds me of the Mac if you look closely. And then on the bottom it's just a rubberized pad with Leap Motion inscribed. And it's just on this side we have our connector and a little light that shows you when it is on. So now let's get started with what it can do. So it has a very natural, once you get used to it, it's a very natural feeling. So 2 fingers up, it's very simple. You just scroll with 2 fingers, 1 finger, and then there's kind of this hover thing. So it creates a virtual wall about right on top of it. So on this side, your finger's hovering over it, and once you go onto the other side, the cursor will become green, and that represents that you clicked. It's a little confusing at first, but you get the hang of it. And then, on top of those simple gestures, I downloaded this app called Better Touch Tool, so I can configure things like 2 fingers to the left will open my mission control, and it's very simple. Lots you can do with that app. So when you first get the Leap Motion, you'll have to activate it, and after you do that, this Leap Motion orientation pops up. So it's just kind of showing how powerful the Leap is, so I'm just going to quickly show that. So it says this is where it sees. To begin, wave hand over device. Continue, I remove my hand. So you can see my hand, it's tracking both my hands. Gets very low, about 1 inch above the device, maybe 2. And it tracks, I'd say, 1.5 feet probably, and also probably about 1 foot out, and then I'll just continue. So after that, it then shows what the Leap kind of sees in 3-dimensional space, so you can see when I move my hand over here, when I go over here, up and down, back and forth. Very impressive how wide of a range it has for tracking from such a small device. So here we have what it actually sees. So this is what the Leap sees as my hands. So you can tell it tracks 5 fingers on each hand, and you can, when you bend, it bends. It's pretty accurate. It can't track things straight up because it tracks out, so your hands, it's better when they're flat for tracking. It also does a lot better in dark lighting because it uses infrared lights and a few cameras to track your movement. So as you can see, it's very bright in here. It's still working great, but it's a lot more accurate in darker settings. So I'll just show you this drawing thing quickly. So here's my 5 fingers. As you can see, I'm pushing in, like nothing happens there. And I push in and I draw. You can do it with both hands at once, one finger. It's accurate to 1/100th of a millimeter, I believe, which is extremely accurate, much more accurate than something like the Microsoft Kinect, which is not, it's very imprecise if you're doing it, if you're trying to be very precise. Alright, and then Leap also made a few apps to kind of show you off the same thing. So they call this one flocking, so it's just showing how you can move your hands far into the distance and the fish will swim, or you can bring them really up close and they'll come right at you off to the side. Two hands, you can see my fingers being represented by these glowing dots. It's just kind of showing off more of the Leap's power. And then we have lots of apps from people like New York Times, Cut the Rope, but then there's not a lot of app support, but it's getting there. Right now there's probably about 100 apps, a lot of which are paid, but there are some very high quality apps. I'm going to show you this one right here called VitRun Air. So in this one you have 18 levels and you're controlling this ball around. This app doesn't really show off the full potential of the Leap since it doesn't track individual fingers, but it tracks your whole hand. So you have to avoid all these obstacles. It's pretty fun. So, yeah. One thing about the Leap, it is a little impractical. Even if you are sitting down, your arm does get tired of holding it out over the controller for a long period of time. So it's a really cool device to show off, and it could be useful in something like a presentation. I can definitely see that. But for everyday use, it's a little confusing, and you have to be very precise. Like to close out a tab, you have to really focus. A mouse is just so much easier. So it's also, but for gaming, it's very interesting. It's really cool. And there's also this cool science app where you can look at different molecules, and so you have your DNA, then like caffeine, and it shows you what they are on the side. So it could be useful for something like that, but I haven't really found anything very useful about it. It has potential. There just isn't the app support for it yet. So this is Leap's website. Comes with hands and fingers included. Kind of a little joke. So it's 1/2 inch tall. Earlier in the video I showed you what the Leap Motion looks like next to this thumb drive. So this is a small thumb drive, so the Leap Motion's just a little bit bigger. So it is very small. It's about 1.5 ounces. It's 1/2 inch tall. It will really fit in anywhere. And when you're done with it, if you don't want to use it, and as you can see, it would be very easy to accidentally, when you're getting something up, to move your mouse around or open apps. So they do very conveniently give you this thing to pause tracking. And then let's go into the settings. So the interaction height, you can change it. They have this auto interaction height, kind of works. So it can track up to 25 centimeters, which is pretty high, and down to 7 centimeters if you want. So it'll still track up, but starts around 7, I think. There's also power saving mode, which will reduce the frame rate which it tracks at. Could be good. And then there's these settings where you can choose precision, high speed, or balance. So the precision gives you extreme accuracy, but it might not necessarily track at the highest frame rate. So as you can see, it says data rate 55 frames, and I'm on balance. You can change it. I keep on balance, seems to be the best. Say you drop your Leap, or you just don't feel it's tracking right, you can do this Leap Motion Recalibration test. So it works better with a glossy display. So it'll track its reflection. So you just move your Leap around, and it's already done. So after that, the Leap software will have to restart. Already did. Overall, I wouldn't really recommend buying this. It's a very cool device. It's just not very useful or practical yet. Maybe with the second version, which I'd also like to see a wireless version, because kind of takes away, their whole thing's about being so wireless and being so natural, but when you have all these cords getting tangled everywhere, it really takes away from the experience. So I'd like to see that. Maybe just built-in rechargeable battery that would last a few days. Very simple. It would make a much nicer experience. So definitely check it out. Maybe go around and see if you can find one to play with it. Can't really recommend it. It's just, as I said, not practical. You can't do that much with it. Right now it's more of a novelty. A very cool one, but it's just not worth it yet. So thanks for watching, and subscribe and like this video for more great videos to come. Thanks.